Have you ever wanted to play something like Swords and Sandals, but in Discord?
Well, that is exactly what we'll be creating in this video. But before we start, we need to choose a language to create this bot in. And what better language is there than C? Okay, listen, I have done my research.
Apparently, there is this JavaScript library called Discord.js, which is like the most popular way for building a Discord bot. So naturally, I assume this means it has the most support, the most tutorials, and the best AI generated code for me to use, which I would never use because But alright, let's get things started. First, we'll create a server to test the bot on... What is that profile picture? Then after creating the test server, we will continue by reading a bit of documentation, understanding how TypeScript works, and setting up a bun project. And after a little while, bada bing bada boom, we have created Pang Pang! Basically this is how it works. You can get all the messages that are sent from this Discord server and check if it contains a specific word like pang, and if it does, we can reply with pang. Pretty simple, right? This is basically how everything will work. So now that we know the basics, let's start out by creating a fight command. This is where the action will go down. First, we will create the field, which will be an array of underscores to illustrate empty spaces, and pipes to illustrate the player. Alright, let's run the command. What the f is that? Those are not my underscores. Or pipes. And where did those commas come from? Well, Discord has this thing called Markdown, where underscores makes things Italian. I mean italic. So that is why the underscores are removed and the pipes becomes a slash. But what about those commas? Well, apparently TypeScript does some voodoo simsalabim magic behind your back and just joins all elements in an array with a comma automatically. I would just prefer my segfaults, but okay. Anyways, to fix these commas, we can just do a dot join and then specify the join character to be nothing. And to fix the markdown problem with the underscores and pipes, I decided to switch to emojis. So now empty spaces will be marked with a white box and the player will be a bald guy. Yeah. With these top-notch graphics, we can continue moving to the right. What the? That should be a crash. Nah, what is this language? It just creates more spaces in an array when you exceed the size. Like, why can't you just let me have my segfaults? Anyways, it is a simple fix. We can just check that we don't try to move outside of the arena size. Alright, let's introduce a attack button so we can attack, no one. Alright, let's introduce another player so we can fight someone, which will be a cat. So now we can do /fight and choose an opponent to fight. So let's invite my friend Phoenix to a fight, and he will not be able to accept the fight because he's not part of it. What? Stupid simple logic. Where's my simsalabim when I need it, huh? So now if I invite my friend to a fight, I should be able to move to the right. What the f? So now if I invite my friend to a fight, I should be able to move to the right. Yes! But still, if we attack, we just get a reply that we attacked. And that is quite not what we want. We want to see damage, we want to see blood, we want to see arm and legs being torn apart.
And of course I'm not going to implement any of those things, apart from the damage of course. But how will we decide how much damage someone will deal? Well, introducing stats.
They're awesome, because with them you can customize your character just like from that game with the Swords and Sandals, where I did not join the stats from. This is a complete unique set of stats. Now, we also need to store these stats somewhere, because we don't want people's stats to just reset all of a sudden, right? So, in order to keep track of people's stats, I went ahead and created a Mongo database to keep track of each user's stats, gold, XP, and some other cool stuff. So now we can add some of the stats visually to the game. And boom! Look at that! Now you can walk up to each other and damage each other. Look at that floating point value. Okay, let's fix that. The damage scales based on your strength, and if you got defense, you have a chance to block the damage. So now with the basic actions like moving left and right and attacking and blocking, I invited my friend to a fight. And while fighting, I had significantly stronger stats than my friend. So he tried to escape, which he could not. So, in honor of my friend Harold, I added a flee button which you can press if you are at the corner of the arena. Your escape chance will scale based on your agility. But now, if you look a bit up, you will see our beautiful field that contains both players. It is horrible, I know. So, I think we can give it an improvement. First, I went into Photoshop to create a highly detailed background. It is a white square. But it's an amazing white square. And boom, a white bar, and your job is to guess where you're at. Nah, I'm just kidding. We can also load in the profile picture of each player. And then we can paste in the profile picture on the correct location on the white bar. And boom, look at that. Now it looks way better than the emojis from before. But you know what this game is missing from the game that I'm not copying? The strategy that no one ever expects to pull on the field. The most powerful of them all. That's right, I'm talking about sleep. But sleep is kind of pointless without mana. So I added mana into the game as well. And every time you do an action, it costs you 1 mana. And eventually you will run out of mana and we will be forced to sleep. Sleep will not just regain you mana, but also some health.
Why didn't you just call it stamina?
Anyways, we can still enhance this gameplay experience further by adding items. And where will we store these items? That's right, on the database! Now, I personally think that these items are freaking cool. You can dynamically add or remove items that can modify our stats. So now if I go to the database and make my player wear a club, which will give me 5+ strength and 100% more vitality, which means doubling my health. And boom! Look at that, it did! We got 8 strength instead of 3 and 2 vitality instead of 1. But that is when the incident happened. It broke. No, it broke. Shite. What does it say? Error, unknown interaction. No, still it breaks. I don't get it. How can it break? Like, it gets to the end of the thing and makes a return, but then it just breaks when it tries to update the message. At this point, my brain was just going...
Boulder, bubble, wobble, gobble, flap, babla, babla.
Wait, are you saying that we only have 3 seconds to respond to a message?
Shwabble, double, glib, glib.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Because for each interaction, I need to generate this whole message, meaning generating the stats and the battlefield image with each of the player's profile picture. This may on some occasion take longer than 3 seconds to do, so that is why it breaks. So what is the solution to this 3-second timer problem? My first thought was, let's just pre-calculate every single possible outcome for every button click. Genius, right? Well... Oh, wait. The logic, like, because I need to think about the next turn to give to the player and the next turn to visuals. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to do actually, because it's like I'm trying to predict the movement of what could happen so I don't have to calculate it on the fly. But then that's messing everything up. Like,
crazy.
Yeah, no. I tried that and it totally did not work. Instead what we can do is this. Interaction deferred update. This will allow us up to 15 minutes to reply. Not that we will take that long, but we need more than 3 seconds. Alright, but now with that hassle away, I added a bet option for the fight command, so you can bet money before each fight. And at the end of the fight, the winner takes all. So let's see what the boys thinks.
How does this fighting work?
I don't know.
What's the thing that's unclear?
Which one's turn it is?
It says down at the bottom whose turn it is.
I don't want to read that small shit.
So I need to improve whose turn it is.
Yeah, I have like a big red arrow.
So I made a big red box indicating whose turn it is. And as you can see, it works like a charm. And boom, as you can see, it worked like a charm. But now, you may have noticed that there's a new item, the helmet. And you may be wondering, how do I get new items and equip them? Well, that's easy. Just log into the database and create the item you want and equip it. And bada bing bada boom, you have a new item equipped. Well, obviously I'm not going to give you guys access to the database, that would be silly. Instead, we will create this shop command. The shop will display 3 random items every once in a while. Or, that is the plan. For now, there will be the 3 same items all the time, because I only have 3 items in the database. And when you can afford an item, it will be highlighted. If you can't, it will be grayed out. Okay, so let's try it out by buying the leather helmet. How do we know that we actually bought and equipped it? Apart from the text that says that we did so. Well, we could go into the database and... yeah, no, we are not going into the database. Instead, I created this /stats command. So now if you do /stats, you get your full profile with your stats. And here, you can clearly see that we got our leather helmet equipped. But also, you will notice that we got XP, level, and skill points. And be like, hey, where did those come from?
Well, to answer the question that you asked, my trusted intern Harold has been working on that.
He has made it so that you gain XP from being active on the server. And if you're active enough, you will level up and receive a skill point. Which brings me to the buttons down here. If you got skill points, you can use them to upgrade your base stats. But apart from observing your magnificent stats, you can also view other people's stats by doing /profile and their name. Pretty cool, eh? But now that we got the shop and a way to see that we actually got the items that we bought, how do we get the goal to actually buy these items? Apart from our crippling fighting addiction. And also, is there a way to get XP, levels, or skill points? Well, yes there is! Microtransactions! Quests! And where will we store these quests? That's right, on the data. No, we won't store these on the database. That would be bad. That is why we totally did not do it and later rewrote the whole system. That would be crazy. So I started to work on the Dragon Campaign quest. The Dragon Campaign is pretty cool. Players can join in on the campaign, and after the Dragon Campaign ends, it will roll a dice that scales based on the combined player strength against the dragon's strength. If the players win, they will receive 1 skill point, 10 gold, and 10 XP. And also, if you got charisma, your reward will be increased.
Wait, plus 10 charisma? Wait, this is a little unbalanced.
No, it's 10 plus charisma gold.
Now that looks shit, bro.
But then this happened. I got an error. Failed to fetch user. What the f? Oh my god. Why is this allowed? Why am I allowed to create a variable with the same name twice? This language, I can't. I am about to lose it. This. So we took a 2 hours break talking about the beautiful SIG programming language.
Well, you can instance the file, because the file is just a struct. Everything is just a struct, basically. And this AAA is both a struct, but it's also a namespace. No, there's no inbuilt malloc. You have to pass an allocator, which the...
Or you could make your own allocator? Is that also...
Absolutely.
Oh my god, that's so freaking cool.
Yes.
Inner peace. Then it was back to creating more quests. We got quests like Timmy.
Timmy, yes. That's Timmy.
Subscribe, where you gain 10 XP if you press yes. And if you press no, you don't. And rescue mission.
Okay, so this is like a lobby thing I have here. Do you guys want to join also?
I'm trying.
Yeah, okay. The beast won over the players and ran away with the villager. Beast strength 104, player strength 30.
Man, we're weak as
Alright, without further ado, it's time to launch the bot. And I would like to thank Enti for providing a host to host the bot on. So thank you, Enti, you're very cool.
But of course, the first few things that happened when we launched the bot was bugs. The bot was the first one to level up. Lucas bot leveled up.
Wow, amazing.
And when you bought the item, you got 2 paper headwear. Let's go. I'm gonna buy some paper. But I do have 2 paper headwear. They'll be duplicated. And yeah, you could donate negative money, which is not donating. That is stealing. So we quickly shut down the bot and patched the bugs, and we also improved the profile and shop command, and I also improved the visuals for the fight command. Except for the character, that was AI generated because I don't know art. But now, here's the finished product. Enjoy. Hey yo, who bought the f***ing bread? What the f*** is your health? Since when did that happen?
I bought like another bread. And I also have garlic bread. I might donate it back if I win.
You might. I like those odds.
Yeah, you like those odds? Yeah.
Holy fuck, we are
Just don't lose.
And
block.
Oh!
Ooh!
And you just have this
Yes.
looking good there.
Yes. Oh. If you get back, if you win this, yes.
Slash inventory equip health pack. Bro, I'm so good at this now. Okay. Bro, Harold. You wanna rematch now?
Fight me.
But bro, I also got health now, okay?
Calling that hell, bro. Nah, you're one shot.
But anyways guys, did you know that I have made Snake in assembly and also made a whole video about it? You should totally go and watch it. It was pain. Anyways, see you next time. Bye.
Weird mental illness. Which is exactly what it is. Like